What's going on, guys? It's your boy. Today I have a really new person, a good buddy of mine, Flame. Tell him what's up.
Yo, what's goody in the hoodie, everybody?
Finally got him on the channel, finally. We're doing the most toxic video I could possibly think of. Now, JJK is hot right now. I love JJK. It's so good. I was thinking about doing like a Gojo versus this character, or, you know, Gojo versus the Akatsuki, but, you know, then I just thought, like, why not just do Gojo versus all of Naruto to see where he stacks up? So, in order for this video to happen, we have to go through a few disclaimers. The first thing we need to talk about is we kind of have to equalize the energy systems. If we don't equalize the energy systems, it's a completely boring video. Like Flame, do you want to mention, like, what would that video would look like?
It would be so boring. Like, no one would be able to see what Gojo's doing. Gojo likely can't see a few techniques, and just techniques would bypass, like, some techniques would bypass him entirely because Limitless couldn't detect it. It's really bad. It's really dumb. There's a reason why most videos that do this type of thing usually have equalized energy, because it gets really dumb if it doesn't.
Exactly. And, like, look, let's just be a little bit interesting here. If you are a huge Gojo fan and you love Gojo, sure, he slaps all of Naruto, you know, domain expansion, GG, very interesting video. Make your own video and see, like, how well it does. So let's be a little bit interesting here. And Flame, take us away on the JJK scaling.
Alright, so to get into JJK scaling, up first I'm going to get into strength, because I feel strength is one of the less contentious things in comparison to another stat that I'm going to get into.
Yep.
Which that's, oh boy, what speed. Anyways, with strength there's a character named Dagon, right? Who Dagon has access to a domain expansion, which is able to create an island that has water and a bunch of stuff inside of it. And the thing about domain expansions that's really funny is, it's just stretching out your cursed energy. So, Dagon should reasonably scale to his own domain expansion, and Gojo is much stronger than Dagon that it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't really scale Gojo that, like, we can't quantify how much stronger than Gojo is than Dagon, so he's unquantifiably higher than island level, but he's much stronger than island level, and that should apply to his durability as well. So, up next is his speed, and because Gojo is, yeah. Oh boy, the speed is, yeah. So, thankfully, Gojo isn't suffering from the Mach 3 meta of Cursed Naoya being at Mach 3, because he's faster than them. He's like the fastest sorcerer in the verse. And if you upscale him off a character named Hikari, who Hikari, if you really wank him, can dodge a lightning bolt. And we're being really generous to Gojo. You can say Gojo is at like the speed of lightning. Yeah.
And we could just say that he's like beyond lightning level, just like with teleportation and how he performs like with Sukuna in the latest chapters and all that stuff, just to, you know, give him the benefit of the doubt.
And then he also has his techniques, which his techniques and hacks, that is the main thing that makes this entire thing debatable, because of two hacks in particular. The main hacks that we're going to talk about is Limitless, because you're going to see a trend throughout this entire video. What techniques bypass Limitless?
Yeah.
Because the way that the Limitless works is basically it expands the space between yourself and an opponent to make it so the opponent can never hit it. So for example, if you were to run an entire marathon, imagine you're trying to run a marathon, but at the same time, you're trying to high-five a person. Like, at first, it would look like you're not running that large of a distance, but you'd still be running that large of a distance in reality. Your hand would still move that distance, but as a result of that, you would slowly move towards them, and you would just go in slow motion, rather than actually moving towards them.
You know, the author of JJK got like these scholars to come in, and the scholars, like these mathematicians, were like, I don't know how it works either, like it's really complicated. So if you want to get like very, very, very technical, it's basically like Gojo with his, we're just going to say CT instead of curse technique. He basically brings a concept known as infinity into very existence. Extremely overpowered using his CT. However, as like we'll get into later, it's not the end all be all, and CT, you know, if it's interacting with chakra, very interesting sort of interesting dynamics going on here. Gojo as well, like he has the unlimited void. This is his best win con against everyone. So this is where people will go like, oh, Gojo slaps Naruto, you know, unlimited void, GG. It's extremely powerful, and we're not going to downplay unlimited void. Basically, in Naruto, there's a character called Itachi that uses Tsukuyomi. Tsukuyomi gives Itachi 4th dimension level of manipulation. Now, very strong characters like Kakashi can sort of tank Tsukuyomi, but that was only 3 days of information. Flame, explain like the level of information like Limitless has.
Everything and nothing you are feeling all at once.
Yeah.
So you can feel every single part of your body, every single possibility. You can feel all of that happen at the same time, and all of it's happening to you at the same time. Like every single sensation you can feel possible is happening, while at the same time, none of it is happening.
And for Naruto characters, this is Gojo's best win con, is a complete mind hacks and a complete mind break. It would work on Naruto characters. We've never seen anyone, you know, take on that much level of information in Naruto, except for maybe, possibly Obito and Nagato with the Rinnegan, who not only are they experiencing their own experiences, they're experiencing 6 other people's visions, as well as the animal summons, which can amp your reaction time. So you have 7, debatably like 8, 9, 10, however many animals you want to summon. You can experience all of those people's level of information. Another thing that we were talking about before is the is the Naruto shadow clones. Now, I was rereading part 2 like last weekend, and there's a statement that Kakashi makes. I don't know if I'm going to get it exactly right, but basically, like, Naruto is like halving his time of training by like thousands of times. He basically does 4,000 hours worth of training in like an afternoon, because essentially what happens in Naruto, if you use a shadow clone, it's sort of cooked how dangerous the shadow clones can be. It's apparently like shortens your lifespan, but anyway, that's not important.
Oh.
What is important is that when they blow up, or whenever like Naruto deactivates them, he gets that person's level of experience. So you could maybe make some like headcanon arguments that maybe Naruto has some mind hacks resistance of level of information, but let's just throw Gojo a bone, and let's just say his win con is the domain expansion along with purple. I don't want to spend too much time on here, because you're like, this video is so long, Catch Dog. Like, what the fuck's that? It's like, listen. There's blue and red. Basically, these abilities let you repel and retract objects, people, whoever. When Gojo combines these 2 abilities, red and blue, he creates something called purple, which has some absolutely bonkers lore. It's supposed to be like an imaginary mass, which is supposed to destroy, negate, eviscerate everything in its way. However,
erases anything it touches.
And like, look, except for Sukuna tanked it. So let's just say Gojo's win cons is a domain expansion along with purple. That would work. Now, that's JJK sides. I'll do Naruto really quick. Essentially, Naruto has horrible speed scaling. It's terrible. It's
oh boy.
We have data books that say things that are really helpful to us, but you know, it gets really funky in late Shippuden, so I'll just go over speed in Naruto. Basically, one of the best speed feats in Naruto is in the first arc of the whole show, where a character called Haku can zip zap around his mirrors at light speed. So we have a character that's already moving at light speed. Now, this is debatable. People will say that, you know, Haku, when he's mental amped against Zabuza and Naruto, you know, they're fighting, he can move at light speed, but he doesn't all the time. That's a way to describe it. But I think the whole point of the light mirrors is that he creates the mirrors and he can move between them at light speed. So we already have a character that is like just a little bit stronger than Kakashi and Zabuza moving at light speed. Now, Kakashi's a big thing in this video. Like, you guys will see a lot of Kakashi in this one. So Kakashi, as well as a fatigued, like, Anbu person, whatever, was able to cut a lightning bolt in half and call it Raikiri. Raikiri literally means lightning cutter. In order to cut a lightning bolt in half, you have to be moving at lightning speed. So we also then have the next arc of Naruto where the Raikage synapses fire at the speed of light. And then we also have a character called Daori that has like a laser circus technique, which basically he's able to use the reflection of water to attack his opponents. And these characters are just reacting to it all the time, let alone Naruto getting KCM and being blitzed tiers above the Raikage at a certain point. And then if you really hate Naruto, 6 paths characters can dodge a technique called Storm Release Light Fang. And in the data books, it is a beam of light. So look, I've just given you guys like 10 different instances of light speed in Naruto. If you don't want to buy for it, like, that's fine, I understand. But even if you want to say that 6 paths characters only reach the speed of light, it's massively above JJK. And if we want to get into AP, like, look, AP in Naruto is also insanely broken. In part 1, AP isn't too relevant. Like, you might have characters like Sasuke and Naruto with their amped Chidoris and Rasengans putting holes through water towers and whatnot. It's not really that impressive even in like JJK, but when we get to Shippuden, we get characters like Data as C0, which can put a massive dent in a forest. We have characters like the Akatsuki. The whole point of the Akatsuki is to basically fight Jinchuriki and Tailed Beasts. Now, Jinchuriki can use Tailed Beast Bombs, which can nuke mountains. We also have characters like Sage Jiraiya with a Sage enhanced Rasengan able to carve mountains. We have characters like Madara with a perfect Susanoo swing, like not even like just like the attack, it's the shockwave, able to cleave apart mountains. Then we also get to characters like Inoki with his particle style, which can actually atomize you as well. We also have characters like Naruto with his Rasen Shuriken can actually attack you on a cellular level. Now this just goes on and on and on until we get to the Truth-Seeking Orbs and Kaguya and the Ten Tails. And the Nine Tails has crazy lore as well. The Nine Tails has life-wiping potential. I think we all agree that mid-Shippuden is just way beyond anything JJK characters can offer, let alone Kaguya with her massive Truth-Seeking Orb that was going to nuke a whole time space. So yeah, no one can hit Gojo. However, we'll get in. Yeah, look, the rest of this video, Gojo kills a lot of people. He kills massive amounts of people. If you guys want to stick all the way to the end, we'll tell you guys who actually Gojo kills. Let's just go ahead and talk about what will definitely bypass Limitless. And the first thing I think we should talk about is the boring one. We'll get the boring one out of the way first, is all the Otsutsuki. All the Otsutsuki absolutely fondle Gojo's abilities. Now, Flame, did you want to get into this?
So the reason why that the Otsutsuki just destroy Gojo is purely because their bodies nullify ninjutsu. They are, like, ninjutsu doesn't work on them.
Yep.
If the energies are equalized, yeah. I don't think we need to continue on with that.
I mean, like, you got to look at it like there's a technique called a Matarasu, which we will get into, that is the pinnacle of fire jutsu. Every time Sasuke uses it on an Otsutsuki, it basically just appears on their body and then they laugh and absorb it. The other thing is the absorption. Every Otsutsuki character, even the androids like Delta and all these people, Jigen, they have the ability to absorb chakra. Now, do you think that if you absorb Gojo's Limitless barrier, could Gojo replenish that barrier faster than they could absorb it?
I'm currently on the sign of no, purely because of the fact that even if Gojo is not fast enough to keep up with the JJK, or not JJK, he's not fast enough to keep up with the Naruto verse and these top tier Otsutsuki god level slaying people like Delta. And just, they're going to immediately move past the barrier and kill him before he can even reactivate the barrier, in my opinion.
Like, absorption, if we want to get into absorption, we could also bring up Kisame. So, there's a character in Naruto called Kisame, which has a sword that can absorb chakra. In part 1, we get shown, like, the very, like, limited this thing that can do. It basically, Naruto's using his enhanced, like, chakra, Kyuubi chakra to rile up, and he's going to fight Itachi and Kisame. One swipe of Samehada takes away the whole cloak of the Nine Tails. Now, Samehada also can absorb full V2 Killer B when he's fused. I'm fully faithful that Kisame could probably just swipe away the infinity. Now, I know that's crazy.
I wonder how Infinity Chakra would taste, though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I wonder if Samehada would be, like, overwhelmed by it. Maybe Samehada would get, like, mind-hacked. But no, in all seriousness, though, like Kisame would more than likely be able to take away the Limitless Cloak. And a good example of this, right, is if the you Gojo fans are, like, off your heads crazy, you know, there's a character in the movie Zero, and it's, like, not even that far apart from, like, the main series, right? It's like
a year apart.
Yeah, it's not long. This whip goes near Gojo, and Gojo's like, he's disrupting my techniques. And then instead of using his Limitless technique, he just uses his hands. So
his name is Miguel. He's a champ.
So, look, like, I'm gonna be real, that whip, yeah, it's very impressive. Samehada is much more impressive. So
Samehada is that whip, but it eats you too.
And it's absolutely absurd, like what Samehada does in the show. Another thing that we should get into is the Rinnegan rods. So
Yep.
take us away on the Rinnegan rods.
So the Rinnegan rods just outright neutralize chakra and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's literally just the whips or the inverted spear of heaven from JJK, which also nullified the infinity barrier, but as a projectile.
People would say like, no, the Rinnegan rods, like they have to touch you first. Listen, these Rinnegan rods, they're able to pierce Jinchuriki's cloak. That is like Pain's like big win con on like facing off like these characters. Now, there is a moment where Naruto breaks apart from all of these rods. I would argue that that's more of a power feat. I don't think like, you know, the Naruto we saw is like a normal Naruto. We see Pain fight Jinchuriki, and those chakra rods are no joke. They take off characters' Sage mode. If there was the pinnacle of negating Jutsu, those Rinnegan rods are at the very top of the Naruto verse. Those rods take down Hashirama. Those rods take down Sage Naruto. Those rods take down Sage Jiraiya. These characters are absolutely bonkers, and when they get hit, they are absolutely helpless. They can't move, they can't use chakra. You know, a character called Tobirama, who has some of the best chakra control in the whole show, he gets pierced like 20 times, and then he's like, Sasuke, I can only teleport you one time, and that's it. Like, I'm out. I'm completely cooked. Also, we should also talk about the truth-seeking orbs.
So, long story short, right? The truth-seeking orbs, A, they nullify ninjutsu as well, so that's another thing that just already bypasses infinity.
Stated by
But B, they also, they hit you on a spiritual level, because, like, what they do to Minato is, when they hit Minato, they take off his arms, and his soul passing on again doesn't have arms. Like, he's going to the afterlife, he has to be now only, like, he doesn't have arms anymore, and I don't think the afterlife has wheelchairs.
Yeah, and look, if we want to be real dickheads, we could also bring up the fact that, like, the Totsuka blade as well is formless. These astral weapons in Naruto, like, and like the truth-seeking orbs and like the Totsuka blade and stuff, they're not normal weapons even in Naruto, right? They're not normal.
Yep.
Now, in the data books, the Totsuka blade, because we were like talking about this before and we were saying like the Totsuka blade, you know, wouldn't work.
At first I didn't think it would work because it would still have to go a distance, but then I read, it's formless.
If you don't think like the Totsuka blade would work, like, you know, that's fair. The truth-seeking orbs definitely would work. Like, when Hiruzen gets hit by it, he's like, they negate ninjutsu. So, you know, we have like characters like Obito, Naruto, Madara, these characters definitely would be able to bypass infinity. And speaking of like Obito and like Kakashi, like Kamui, Kamui definitely 100% works. I think Kamui, if I'm being honest, is the main one. This is the one that if I were to put all my chips on, I would bet Kamui would work because its lore is absolutely insane. It is the space bending ninjutsu. And what is Gojo's Limitless and Barrier? It is bending and warping space. Obviously, Kakashi isn't that good at using Kamui at the start of Shippuden. So I could totally see a case where like Gojo starts to get like, you know, warped away and then he teleports out of it. That's fair. Regardless, it would definitely bypass the barrier. I think we both agree on that.
100%. Kamui just instantly appears on your body.
Yep.
And that is the main counter to Gojo. Because like distance doesn't matter anymore. So your main defense gone. And that is how Gojo loses his arm and is no longer able to teleport because he needs to clap his hands. So goodbye.
Yep. And look, Obito as well, he might have to touch you to use Kamui to suck Gojo in, but even then, like, we see Sasuke get sucked into Obito's Kamui dimension and he's not really touching him. Kamui is like a go-to win for the Naruto characters. I think Kamui is like the most direct counter to Gojo's Limitless. Just
send Kakashi out on the field. There's a reason why Gege said Kakashi is superior to Gojo.
I wonder if he's talking about part 1 Kakashi. No, I'm joking. It's good. Alright, another thing. This is more of a meme, but I'd like to see what people think. Jirobo's rock. Basically what happens is that this rock appears and like these very powerful characters, Naruto and Neji with big chakra supplies, they're like, oh, like my chakra, like I'm feeling very fatigued, like my chakra's getting sapped into this rock. Personally, I think Gojo will probably just like purple his way out of it. but I think it's really...
Oh yeah, we're just like...
Yeah.
This is a win calling on Gojo. Like, Gojo's just killing Jirobo immediately.
Yeah.
But this is a way you can win.
I just think it's funny that, like, that might work. Another thing about these Genin level characters is shadow paralysis. Now, do you want to get into, like, the shadow paralysis?
Oh boy, people are gonna get pissed off at me for this one. So, shadow paralysis bypasses Limitless entirely because shadows work on Limitless. Gojo is not immune to shadows. We see this in the most recent chapter especially. Gojo falls down into Maharaga's shadow. This isn't even Maharaga trying to grab him. This is just Gojo falling down into the shadow.
By the way, what's the main counter to Limitless? The 10 shadows. Shikamaru is Shadow Man. So, like, look, listen.
Shikamaru was the real 10 shadow. You see, Sukuna went to the wrong body. He shouldn't have went to Megumi. He should have gone to Shikamaru. Cross universes, hop into... Shikamaru wouldn't even fight back. He's too lazy for that.
And look, like, what is Shikamaru going to do when he captures Gojo? I don't know. Probably not a lot. But I just think it's really funny that might actually bypass Infinity. Maybe, like, Hokage...
He chokes him or he stabs him.
Yeah, maybe,
Remember,
like...
he can stab him with the face.
Maybe Hokage, you know, Shikamaru might be able to do something, but like I don't know. It's really it's questionable. Now, now we've just been dickheads for a little bit. Let's be serious. Let's talk about poisons.
Yep. All right. So let me just get into this because this is like a huge misconception I think a lot of people have. Poisons work on Gojo, and this is a weakness Gojo has. When Gojo was like in his third year, he was trying to figure out how to make a subconscious limitless barrier that would exclude poisons because, he couldn't detect poisons. We never should see if he succeeded, except for the fact we do know he did not succeed. Because there's a character named Hanami who outright basically uses an entire flower field that takes away Gojo's will to fight. Furthermore, Gojo still needs to breathe. Yep. And that is an issue. And especially in the world of Naruto, where they basically have like their custom poisons that Gojo might not be able to immediately detect.
Yeah, we have characters like Deidara that can make microscopic bombs that you inhale and destroy you on a cellular level from the inside. And then we also have characters like Sasori, and Hanzo, which use like clouds of poison. Personally, for me, I don't know about Sasori's poison working because, again, like it's more of a physical touch thing. I don't think Sasori's poison could touch Gojo, but interestingly enough, Hanzo's poison probably would definitely work. Some people would say, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, Flame, is that Gojo's 6 eyes would just see the C4 and Hanzo's, thing like a cloud, because if we're equalizing the energy, let's give Gojo some credit. He probably could see it.
I think it would 100% work, because I think people give Gojo's 6 eyes way too much credit, if I'm being honest with you. His 6 eyes could not see that Kenjaku was in Geto's body. He thought it was Geto. His 6 eyes couldn't tell if Maharaga's adaptation was gradual or if it was binary. And while I do think he would eventually see, and more importantly, before we get into what I was about to say, he couldn't see through Hanami's technique and deactivate it on time enough because Hanami got Gojo to breathe it in. And I think just C4 is going to be that, but worse.
Yep.
And the thing is, Gojo, I will admit, he will be able to see C4, but it's a huge leap in logic and assumption that Gojo will be able to counter C4 and figure out how to counter it before just Deidara has it explode in him.
If we're going to talk poisons as well, we should also talk about Madara's jutsu, which
Madara's jutsu that he performed on the 5 Kage, like that entire flower thing, it's just what Hanami did, but so much better.
Yep.
So, if Hanami worked on Gojo, that's going to work on Gojo. Because Gojo still needs to breathe, and he will breathe it in. And unlike Hanami, who Gojo can nullify it after he figures it out. Problem is, he will not figure out fast enough.
Another thing we should talk about is Genjutsu. And
Genjutsu is really weird.
Look, the next little bit, we're going to talk about sound and light Genjutsu. So, Mangekyo Sharingan jutsus are very interesting. They're basically on a different level to regular Genjutsu. And I hate saying this, Genjutsu in Naruto is an extremely overlooked hacks. It basically changes the way that your organs and chakra flow works to make you believe or perceive something a certain way. This is like more explained in part 1, and part 1 does a lot of good stuff with Genjutsu, but it is taken to the next level with MS Genjutsus. Mangekyo Sharingan Getchus, that being like Tsukuyomi, Kodo Matsukami, just the base MS, jutsu, Genjutsu, whatever. They forcefully inject chakra into your body to fuck with you. Now, it does require eye contact. However, some people would argue that the chakra would never reach Gojo's eyes. Like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, this is interesting.
I do believe that the chakra would reach Gojo's eyes because I don't think Gojo's Limitless Barrier would detect the chakra purely because Sharingan users cannot detect MS Genjutsu before they're put into it. It genuinely moves that fast, so it wouldn't
so
detect
absurdly
chakra.
quick. It is so quick.
Yeah.
It's so quick. The other thing about Gojo as well is that if he could tank Infinite Tsukuyomi, if he could tank Tsukuyomi, if he could tank Kodo or Matsukami, these jutsus are extremely powerful, but I just think that this is more debatable. I can see the side that says Gojo's, it wouldn't, like the chakra would not pass infinity. Regardless, we know for a fact that the Infinite Tsukuyomi would work. 100%.
Yep.
Because
light still works on infinity because Gojo can still see.
And he can also still hear. Now, there are lots of sound genjutsu in Naruto that should work on Gojo. Now, in JJK, the speech cursed users, I don't know why they have to they just have the mark. I don't know why they don't just cover it up, because every time a speech curse user is used, they're like, oh, that's the symbol. Let me just cover my ears. In Naruto, there is no such advantage in Naruto. In Naruto, if you're hearing it, it is too late. It is way too late. You are already under the Genjutsu. And look, faster characters than Gojo, like Sasuke and Itachi, have been caught in sound Genjutsu. So if I'm going to be real, I think the sound Genjutsu is more of a win than the visual Genjutsu, just because I can see a case for maybe the chakra not being injected in, but sound just works differently.
Even if Gojo some people who are going to say Gojo can break out of the Genjutsu, Gojo doesn't have illusion resistance. We have never seen him once resist against an illusion. Onto the gravity stuff, Gojo is still affected by gravity. He has to actively choose for Limitless to allow him to float in the air. We see him fall. We literally see him fall. For example, in the most recent chapter, if Gojo wasn't affected, or not a chapter ago, if Gojo wasn't affected by gravity, he wouldn't fall into Maharaga's shadow.
Look, maybe you could argue, okay, he gets trapped into the planetary devastation, but he's not actually affected by the rocks. So maybe there's just a little pocket where he's safe. Regardless, if it's a win con or not, might be a win con. Maybe he could teleport out of it. I just think it's really interesting to note that, gravity still should work on Gojo. So this means that you should be able to Bancho Teni him, and you should be able to Shinra Tensei him.
Might just almighty push away a hollow purple if Gojo launches one at you.
Maybe.
Just almighty push it back at him.
Yeah, so you get this case, Rinnegan users actually have an insane advantage on Gojo, which is really interesting. Another thing that would definitely work, and I hate saying this, and I'm not happy about it, is Kinkaku and Ginkaku's weapons. These weapons, same exact lore as Miguel's whip, but slightly better. Did you want to get into the weapons?
There's the whip that, they have a whip too. Gojo really just doesn't have the best of luck and experience with whip that nullifies chakra and jutsus and negates them. So, Gojo, you ready for round 2, except you're dealing with people who are much stronger and faster than Miguel? Yeah. Good luck, buddy.
We were trying to figure out whether Kinkaku and Ginkaku would actually be the solo artists of the JJK world, but just with those chains and those whips and those fans, they all have this crazy lore that can seal you away and blah, blah, blah. That sort of stuff's really interesting. I personally think that those...
their white hair killing streak.
Yeah, literally. Oh no. Another thing we should get into, this is more debatable, is sealing. We wanted to talk about Reaper Death in the maybe section, but if the Reaper Death can't be seen, doesn't have a physical form, because we can see Orochimaru can't interact with the Reaper Death, characters like Minato in the third Raikage at least would get a tie. So,
You want to talk about Yagura's mirror? I know you're excited for that one.
Yagura is the most underrated character. He just whips out that light mirror, and then you have Gojo versus Gojo, and then we would have, Hollow Purple interacting with Limitless. Maybe Gojo would mind hacks himself, whether or not Gojo can get caught in his own limited void. I don't know.
Gojo manipulates the space around Gojo to make it...
Listen, Yagura... Yaga is pretty funny. Like Yaga and Kinkaku and Ginkaku, these goofy characters, like people need to recognize, like this is the whole point of this video. JJK, like Gojo kills a lot of fictional people. Naruto has good hacks. Like Naruto has really good hacks.
There was only one version of Naruto that we genuinely think would beat Gojo.
And that's the one with truth-seeking orbs. So now we have the possibles. I mean, the biggest possible is the Night Guy. Basically what happens is that guy charges up his strongest, most powerful attack and it bends the space around Madara. Now, a couple of my buddies were like, I don't know if that's going to work because Gojo manipulates infinite space. I can understand that perspective, so that's why it's in the maybe. I think it would be really funny if Night Guy charged up his ultimate move and like just touched Gojo because he was slowed down so much. Like, I don't know, that would be funny.
He gets slowed down so much that his ultimate move doesn't mean much, and it breaks his own leg. It just touches Gojo, moves his cheek slightly to the left.
Look, I don't know about whether the Night Guy would work. I personally am on the side that it wouldn't work, but it would definitely affect the Limitless technique 100% because it is like that Kamui. It's bending space. It's not on the same level as Kamui, but if you think that these characters like Night Guy, whatever, can just all the time, whenever they want, bend space because they're so powerful, like, then you have a case where any character that scales above Night Guy would potentially just be able to just obliterate, you know, the Limitless barrier, which is, you know, these characters like the Otsutsuki and all these characters that can just absorb it anyway. So the end game of Naruto has so many ways to bypass it.
Yeah, if we do take the Night Guy, literally. There's another that, like, I think is kind of really likely to work. It just really depends on your interpretation, which is Amaterasu.
Yeah, really interesting. This gets into, like, a more how you think, like, the anime and the manga interact. In the anime, it definitely has travel time, or it doesn't, and the animators failed it horribly, because in the data books with Amaterasu, it's stated to just appear on you. It's just like preordained, like when you have your target in like your vision, it's basically there. Amaterasu has some horrible anti-feats with like the Raikage dodging it and like, you know, Sasuke and his curse mark dodging it. Like for one, Itachi was holding back for that fight. Second of all, the characters can feel Amaterasu coming. Like characters like Nagato and Naruto and even like some of like the Raikage's goons, they can tell when the MS is getting built up into your eyeball. Whether or not Gojo could do that, I mean, that's up in the air. I'm not sure. He probably
Gojo probably could do that. It's just he's not fast enough to do that.
Exactly.
As I've repeated several times.
If you think the Amaterasu appears on you just like it did, just like Kamui does to you, then maybe like the Amaterasu would just burn Gojo to death. However, I do think it's really funny to say that Gojo might just heal his burns faster than like the Amaterasu can burn him, because I don't want to downplay Gojo. Like he's got like some of the best healing in like shonen. I feel like his healing is outrageous.
Agreed. I'm just imagining like back when Jigen fought like Sasuke, he's just explaining how Amaterasu works while absorbing it.
Look.
And it's just Gojo doing that while healing it instead.
And maybe he could push it away with Red or something like that, but Amaterasu is very interesting. It might bypass it, so then we have characters like Indra and Sasuke and Itachi, you know, these sort of characters like possibly getting a W. The other thing that's interesting is Frog Katara. Now, the Rinnegan is an insanely powerful dojutsu. It is just, it could be its own video with how ridiculous the Rinnegan is. It just has like the best visual prowess in like the whole show. That's not like a Rene Sharingan, like the 6 Pars enhanced one by Hagoromo. It cannot detect Frog Katara. Even like Pain with all of his bodies out that can see, you know, everything all at once. They're like, what was that jutsu? So
what just happened? What just punched me in the face?
The other thing that might work, I don't think this would work. It's an interesting discussion, nevertheless. It's the Byakugan and the Gentle Fist. The whole point of the Gentle Fist when it was introduced was to negate chakra. That's the whole thing.
Yep.
Basically, you do have to touch your opponent with your enhanced chakra, but that is really interesting if you think that, you know, these like chakra negating properties, like these weapons can turn off Limitless. Personally, I don't think like the Byakugan would work, but you know, that's just an interesting discussion. Would you have anything to add on the Byakugan?
I do think that the rotation would, funnily enough, work,
Yep.
and it's just being like you're approaching Gojo like a Beyblade with the rotation to try and reach him, because that's the only way you're actually touching him with the Byakugan.
Yeah, I mean, like the rotation straight up turns off Jutsu as well. It's a little bit overpowered in part 1, part 2 not so much. But if you take like the part 1 lore into account, sure, it probably would work against Gojo, which case is just like no barrier left. But in part 2, like the Byakugan's kind of shit. It's awful. It's really crappy. Another thing that could potentially work is the Uzumaki chains. These I personally have a lot of high respect for. These chains basically wrap around Biju, they wrap around tailed beasts, and they turn off chakra similar to wood style. Again, they more than likely have to touch your physical body to turn off suppressed chakra. But if you don't think that they need that, because in the new Naruto one-shot or the new Minato one-shot, those chains get hyped up massively. But again, I don't know, like, do you think, like, in the comments, do you think that, like, the tailed beasts have their own, like, cloak around them, you know? I don't know if we have anything left.
I don't think we have anything left. Like, my list is done.
Yeah. But overall, like, look, Gojo, he might die to a lot of characters, okay? Like, we have some characters like Sasuke, Itachi, Obito, Kakashi, all the Six Paths characters. Yeah, like, they'd probably win. Gojo annihilates so many Naruto characters, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. Like you said before, there's only one version of Naruto that could ever possibly have hopes of beating Gojo, that being the Six Paths ones when he gets his truth-seeking orbs. Did you want to get into that?
Yep, basically, no matter how powerful Naruto gets, because Naruto is much more powerful than Gojo, do not get me wrong, he will never ever touch Gojo without the truth-seeking orbs, because he has no other hacks that will negate the jutsu.
Yep.
That is the only version of Naruto that will win.
Including Baryon mode Naruto. Baryon mode Naruto gets negged. So, look, if you're a JJK fan and you hate Naruto, like, look, Baryon mode Naruto is getting folded by Gojo. There's no question about it.
Yep.
He would never.
Alive Madara is also getting folded.
So Alive Madara is really interesting because we just talked about all these characters with Rinnegan abilities and all that stuff. And Madara, when he's alive, yes, he is much more powerful than when he is in Edo. He doesn't have wood style, and he doesn't have the Rinnegan. So basically what he uses is his Susanoo, which would never touch Gojo, his fire style, which would never touch Gojo. And from what we know, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is still susceptible to, you know, the Limitless, because we see Sasuke's EMS get like sound Genjutsu'd and paralyzed. So I don't think Madara's tanking Infinite Void in like ever. Like he would never get it. I think all the Gokage lose except for like Yagura has an interesting thing with the light mirror. That's really interesting. I think Tobirama and Minato would probably lose. At the very best, you could say that Minato uses Reaper Death and it touches Gojo. That's really interesting. So like, yeah, even like these characters like Orochimaru, Tsunade, Jiraiya, if you don't include Frog Song, they're all dying from Gojo. You have characters like Kakuzu and Hidan, they're all dying. All the Leafs Jonin, who are really powerful, they're all dying from Gojo. You even have like, I don't know, Gaara is also getting folded by Gojo, like really bad, unless you think like, he traps him in sand and seals him away, but that's its own too complicated topic for one video.
Agreed.
Look, these are all characters that Gojo probably beats. Like, did you have anything else to add? He has like
we forgot to talk about karma markings. Yeah, they're just better Otsutskis. Anyways, the code is gonna make what's it called again? Gojo into his vessel.
Yeah, oh no, can you imagine? Might be more interesting than what's happening right now.
Rather than the code being a footstool. Anyways.
Yeah, footstool code good. So look, guys, if you're really mad at this video, I understand. If you have an issue, please put it in the comments. I'd really be interested to see what you guys think, because I understand something like Limitless, it's way too complicated. And something even like the truth-seeking orbs, it's way too complicated to explain in one video. This was just like more of a fun video, but if I'm being honest, I love Gojo a lot more than Naruto characters. I think Gojo is like probably one of my favorite next-gen anime characters. He's like...
Also underrated in terms of personality.
However, yeah, exactly. However, he's not beating all of fiction. Like, we just gave you guys like 10 examples of things that would definitely work.
I think there were... Like, if we were to count how many characters that beat Gojo, there'd be about 20 in terms of Naruto characters out of the over 500 that exist.
And like I keep saying, Naruto has really good hacks. It has really, really good hacks. Gojo's a very hacks character. Guys, check out Flame. He's unreal. He's such a good friend of mine. Definitely subscribe to him. Subscribe to me if you like my stuff.
Subscribe to Couchlog. He's great.
Thank you.
He's got good Naruto stuff.
And like I said, I'll talk to you guys later. Catch ya. Bye.
Bye.